For the first time, March 2019, more people escaped extreme poverty in Africa than those that fell into extreme poverty or went into extreme poverty. That's the World Bank. As at then, about 367 people fall out of extreme poverty a day. And the projection is that by the end of this year, it will be up to 1,000 a day. And in 2020, we expect that about 1 million would have fallen out of extreme poverty. In case you're wondering the timeline, I'm talking about since the time the SDGs were introduced. So that's something, we should be very proud of. However, the stats also show that the pace at which the land reforms and the efforts towards secure tenure and poverty alleviation as they are linked to land issues is going very slowly. So what I did in my paper is find out what the problems are. And I can tell you that part of it is that there is need for political leadership. Many of the African countries undergoing these land reforms, and I think we all are in one form or the other, actually spend less than 1% of their entire budget on land reform. So if we think we need to solve the problems we face today as they relate to land, obviously we should be spending more and investing more in that process. Also, the pace in every country, whether it's South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, wherever you go, the pace is pretty slow. And if the idea of land reform, for instance, is to solve poverty, which we consider to be a very damning problem that we face here, if that's actually what we want to do, then obviously it needs urgent steps. And slow pace would mean poverty would grow even before we're able to tackle the challenges. Also, there's no clear policy direction in the sense from the perspective of AU. We believe there are directions, but at the country levels, most countries are still having the debates, and in most cases, including South Africa, where it's really a very hot debate, data is not even available, to make the right decisions or the sort of decisions we expect. So all of these kind of influence the intergenerational transfer of the problem, and we expect that issue is solved. And this has serious implications on women. And why does it have serious implications on women? Because the basic land reforms we implement in many countries make various sort of assumptions that in general does not actually help or fasten the pace of solving the problems. The land reforms themselves are meant to solve, but also do have direct impact on women. And I don't want it to be an issue of men and women, but the focus of my paper was on women. One of it is that our land reforms tend to assume that the customary tenure is inferior to statutory tenure. That is a debate we've had in several fora, and I think in the previous session it actually came up. Now, it's not up to me to talk about whether this is true or not, or where you belong. We can debate that afterwards. But one thing I can mention is that if we are really serious about solving the poverty problem, and you go within these, many of the African countries or even regions, majority of the land holding are under customary tenure. If you actually georeference poverty, you realize that poverty itself is located on mostly customary tenure. And if you put it under a gender scale, you realize that many of the poor are women. And from a spatial perspective, you also see that many of the rural areas are where the 80% or more of the poverty are located, and that's where most of the customary land are located. So do the calculation, or if you like, logic. If you want to solve poverty, wouldn't it even be better to give customary tenure the right sort of recognition that it needs, make it more tradable in the open market and land market? And maybe, I'm not saying it's going to solve poverty, but it would just mean that we are giving focus to the area where the attention is needed. But in a country where 80% or more or 60% of the land are under customary tenure and nearly 80% of the poverty are located on customary tenure or customary land, you would assume that we're making a mistake by considering it as inferior. That's the first dangerous assumption. The second assumption is that women are a homogeneous group, and Professor Paulette Peters already said that women are different. I'm Nigerian, and Nigerian women are exactly the same with Ivorian women. Ivorian women are not exactly the same with Ethiopian women. They have different sort of problems, even though they are all women. She talked about mothers and daughters, but I will extend the differences. When you differentiate women, you actually realize that when we implement land reforms, we don't target any sort of women because of this sort of assumption, but in reality, tenure experiences differ from what a rich woman and a poor woman has. A single woman and a married woman. A widowed